Everything's fine.
Okay, so this happened maybe a year ago now, and it happened to kind of my entire family. I was 20 at the time, my sister's 17. So one night we were all asleep, and my sister was on some serious medication because she had trouble sleeping because she had night terrors. It was storming out, and it doesn't usually here, so I was up with all the noises and thunder pacing my room. My home is 2 stories, and my sister got the only room on the first floor because she wanted the bigger room with the French doors. There's 2 sets, one in her room and one in the living room, that led to the back. Anyways, so it's storming and the wind is really strong and I'm already on edge. All of a sudden, there's a big thump from downstairs, like someone threw open the back doors and the house alarm starts screaming. So my first reaction is to, of course, jump in my bed. And right as I do, I hear my dad, a former Marine, jump out of bed, grab the pistol he and my mom keep under the mattress, heard my mother ask what's wrong, and hear him throw open his door. Let me explain the layout really quick. When you come up the staircase of my house, there's the bathroom right across from there, and the small hallway goes into sort of an L from there. At the beginning of the L is the bathroom. The corner is my brother's room, then my room, and at the top of the L is my parents' room. He started in my room. In his t-shirt and boxers, he military raid style kicks in my door, clears the room, tosses me the extra 9mm he keeps in his closet, and says to follow him. So he kicks open my brother's room and the bathroom and clears those rooms, takes the stairs at least 3 at a time down to the first floor, and whistles so I know I can come down. At this point now, everything my dad's prepared us for safety-wise is kicking in with adrenaline, and it's hilarious to think about this part because I'm in an oversized t-shirt and panties. My dad in his t-shirt and backers with socks on, and the clearing of the house all happened within 2.5 minutes, I'd say. So he kicks open my sister's room, where we see the back doors of her room are wide open and the rain is pouring in. She very groggily sits up and asks if her soup is ready. My dad stays with her and I clear the kitchen and the living room, which is one open space, and the living room windows are bay style and face my backyard, and disarm the alarm when I hear my dad shouting, his pistol fire, and a voice that is very much not his say, "Shit." And then I see a tall flash of dark run across the backyard and throw itself over the back fence. I immediately call the police and they're there within minutes. Apparently, when I left the room to clear the living room, my dad walked from the door to the foot of my sister's bed. She has a big wood frame that you can't really see the other side unless you're standing where he was. And at that point, my dad saw the man lying flat on the floor of my sister's room, trying not to be seen by us. He left behind a big knife, like a kitchen knife type thing, and a rolled up string of rope. They never found the guy who broke in, and we reinforced the back doors and changed the locks since they were from the original owner when we moved in, which we should have done in the first place. It was very scary, but now when we look back, we laugh because my sister was so out of it. The guy ran off and my dad had ran after him across the yard, and by the time I got to my sister's room to check on her, she just looked at me, obviously still not awake, said everything's fine, and tried to go back to sleep.
Crazy neighbor.
A little backstory. I'm a 16-year-old boy, but when this happened, I was 13, 14. So it was June, and I wake up to someone knocking on the front door. Confused, I get up and go see who is knocking. I open the door, and a man in his late 50s, early 60s is standing there with his wife and twin daughters who were 10. I call for my mom and go back to my room. Later, my mom tells me that they are the new neighbors. I don't really care. So life goes on with them as our new neighbors, and I decide that the man, we will call Jeff, has been really passive-aggressive with me. This I don't care much about. So a month passes and my birthday is in 3 days. I'm excited and I get to have my best friends over. Back then, my friends and I were really into playing in the woods. There is a small patch of woods next to my house, and I decide I would clear out a spot so we can play. We knew the owner of the land, and he said it was okay to play there. While I'm picking up some sticks, I hear someone yelling. I notice Jeff at his front door yelling at me. He yells, "Get the fuck off my property." I live on a cul-de-sac, so I live on one side and he lives on the other, and there is a patch of woods between our houses. I was so confused because he didn't own the land I was on. I decided to ignore him and continue to work. Then he walks over to me and grabs my arm and drags me to my front door. He started yelling at me and my parents. It ended with my parents calling the police. I remember nothing happening, but he kept saying that I was on his property. I never was. Fast forward, and it's now my birthday, and my friends are over. We are in the woods and we play. While we were playing, we hear bushes start to rustle. We point our flashlights towards the bushes, and what we saw still creeps me out. There in the bush was Jeff. Right as we notice him, he runs back to his house, and we do the same. I rush to my parents, who call the police. Nothing happened though, because he didn't do anything. We go to bed, and that was the last thing that happened for the rest of the summer. It's now August and school just started. Now Jeff has twin daughters who were friends with my sister. All three were in the same class and grade. I saw them a lot. At first they seemed like good kids. One Saturday afternoon, I hear the twins playing when I hear the window downstairs break. I come downstairs and the window on the front door is shattered. My mom sees it, and I tell her that it was, we will call my sister Kate and the twins. As I say this, I hear Kate upstairs yelling, "What happened?" I go outside and I see the twins hiding behind one of the bushes in the front yard. I asked them if they broke the window, and they said it was them. I tell them to go home, and I tell my mom. She goes to tell Jeff, and before my mom can finish, he screams at her, saying that his perfect angels wouldn't do that. My mom comes back and goes in her room. I don't know what happened, but we just got the window repaired, and that was that. Over the next 2 weeks, I noticed that things are being moved around in our garage and front yard. I thought it was just my siblings or my parents until I walk in the garage and see the twins moving my brother's bike. I yell at them and they go home crying. Apparently they had been doing it the whole time, and I was pissed. I tell my mom, and she once again calls the police. They say to just lock the door. The next day I went to my friend's house. And while I was gone, Jeff came over and started yelling at my parents, saying I attacked his twins. I didn't. My parents never told me all of what he said, but apparently he threatened to kill me. Great, so I'm terrified of being home alone because I thought he would kill me. So now it's the day before Christmas Eve, and I'm outside playing on my phone, and the twins come out of nowhere and grab my phone and run. I chase them, but they run in their house, and I knock on the door, and Jeff answers. I tell him that his twins have my phone. I was so scared, but I wanted my phone. He goes and gets it and throws it on the ground, shattering it. I scream at him, and he pushed me down and said to get off his property. I call the police, and he says that I tried to rape his daughters, and I was brought in for questioning, and after a while they let me go because I never tried to rape the girls. I get home and I cry. I was so mad at him and scared. I didn't go outside for the rest of winter break. So let's talk about his last month in my town. It's now May and school busted finished. I was in my room and I hear the twins and Kate playing. Then I hear Kate crying extremely loud. I tell my dad and we go outside to see Kate crying on the ground with a gash in her head and a bloody rock on the ground. My dad goes to help her, and it turns out that the twins hit my sister with a rock. I started yelling at the twins, and Jeff and his wife come out. I tell the wife what happened, and she started freaking out. She had to have said I'm sorry 4 times while trying to get the twins, when Jeff says that Kate probably attacked the twins. And that pissed my dad off so much. My dad punched Jeff, and it knocked him out. My mom calms down my dad, and he takes Kate to the hospital. And I help Jeff in because his wife asked, and she had always been so nice. Once I'm done with that, I go home and the police are called. No one presses charges, and Jeff and his family leave 2 weeks later. So yeah, that's my story about my crazy neighbor. So Jeff and your twins, let's not meet again.
Was walking with my girlfriend when I noticed 2 guys following us.
My girlfriend is Japanese. I'm not Japanese, but being Asian, I look local. We normally speak English together because I'm still learning Japanese and it's not that easy. We were walking downtown in Sapporo one rainy night and I noticed some guys behind us who seemed to be following us pretty close. I don't know what language they spoke as it was too noisy everywhere, but they looked not local. Maybe Asian American, but 100% sure they weren't Japanese. They were wearing shorts and some funny Hawaiian flower shirts while it was raining. No umbrella either. No Japanese dresses like that. So after I turned left twice randomly and noticed that they were still super close behind us, I decided to enter a parking lot with an automatic sliding door. I pushed my girlfriend in and said, "Oh, I need something in here." And she wondered why I wanted to go inside a parking lot, but I kept pushing her. Once inside, there was a security guard and we walked past him, and I stopped to close my umbrella. I turned around and told my girlfriend 2 guys were following us. We looked behind us and noticed the 2 guys stopped in front of the sliding door. They were looking in our direction, and then pretended to look something up on their phone. Then my girlfriend realized their behavior was weird. Then a third guy joined them. They looked briefly at us, but I guess the security guard prevented them from doing whatever they had in mind. Again, they had no umbrella, no raincoat, were wearing shorts, and it was rainy and cold. I pulled out my pocket knife just in case. I know it's illegal in Japan, but I grew up in a shithole and kept still. The guys left after a while. My girlfriend and I think for the first time felt unsafe. Apparently, Japan is super safe in general, and she could barely believe someone would follow us and wait the way they did, acting shady and all. I grew up in a cesspool and spent some time studying in South America, so I don't trust anyone. But after they left, I felt less tense. We went to a restaurant later. My girlfriend told me she was glad I was paranoid,